Again, welcome to the Chaska City Council meeting for Monday, April 3rd, 2023. We'll call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Will you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Welcome. Welcome. Elise, will you call a roll, please?
Councilmember Hatfield.
Here.
Councilmember Hubbard. Here. Councilmember Wong.
Here.
Councilmember Grau.
Here.
Mayor Winchell.
Here. City Administrator Podorowski is out tonight and will not be joining us. His son is in curling at the national finals in Boston. So good luck to Will's team while they're out there. So we are blessed to have Elise running the show tonight. So thank you for that. All right, we move to item number 4, adopting the agenda. Are there corrections or additions to the agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve agenda.
Motion by Councilmember Hatfield.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Hubbard. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Post same sign. Motion carries. Moves to item 5 is visitor presentation. Visitor presentation is a place where any residents can come in and talk to council and staff. We limit it to 3 minutes, and there is no action can be taken, but it's open. It gives our residents an option or the ability to talk to council and staff. So is there anyone here that would like to talk to council? Come on up. I would need your name and address, please. Just in time.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Barbara Fleet, and I live at the Landing, 105 East 1st Street in Chaska. And I'm here, well, first of all, I've been a resident there for 5.5 years. I'm speaking in behalf of all of the Landing's residents. And I want to address all you council members, particularly Michaela Hatfield, who I need to get my glasses here. Who I was informed to direct this to, in particular because of the Highway 41 project. And I understand that originally this project, North and South 41, was going to be closed till November. But it was only because of the businesses that complained about their business. They would be going out of business if it was closed that long. So what did they do? They appeased them. And what they did to appease them, they're now, of course, you all know, there's 41 traffic going north and then diverted down 1st Street east. And then going north on Walnut all the way through downtown. Well, the residents of the Landing, we had no clue what was going on until just this last month. That's it. When we as residents at the Landing, when we heard of this, these are some of the comments that were made. First of all, it was total disbelief. The other words that were described was insane, unthinkable, unfathomable, unimaginable, inconceivable, totally absurd. This was shocking news to all of us. This will be a catastrophe to the seniors that live on both sides, Zen Apartments and the Landing. A total catastrophe. It will be so dangerous, you have no idea. If anybody were to watch what goes on 1st Street East for a day or two, they would realize, whoa, this can't be, this cannot be. Whoever thought of this had no clue, no conception of what goes on. And I have heard that they're going to detour the semi-trucks. We've heard that. The dump trucks also will be detoured. But that leaves us with the garbage trucks, the recycle trucks, the big box trucks, all the delivery trucks, UPS, USPS, FedEx, fire trucks and their vehicles, they come. I called up and to find out how many calls are made at Zen and the Landing apartments since January 1st, 2022. So 15 months, there's been 64 calls that were made to the fire department, 911 calls. Then not only that, so that turns out to be a little bit over one a week in all those 15 months. Then we have Metro Mobility, we have Southwest Bus. Many of the vehicles have to make a U-turn right in the middle of the street so that they can accommodate the residents at the landing. So safety for our residents is of utmost importance and concern. The traffic backups and the congestion, the noise level, the dirty pollution will be incomprehensible. The insensitivity and being so inconsiderate to our seniors who live here is truly despicable. This will be an absolute disaster and needs to be stopped. Please, I beg you to close 41, north and south, till November, when the whole project is finished. And now you might be wondering, and that was the original plan. Now you might be wondering about the businesses. The businesses, the thing that would be appropriate would be if they could advertise in the newspapers to the city of Carver, the city of Chaska, the city of Shakopee. All the papers heavily advertise that businesses open in downtown Chaska. And not only that, but you could put up flyers. So that would solve that problem. And that's what I need to say. I'm speaking for all the residents, all of them. I really want you to know the gravity of this. This is so huge. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Caleb, did you have anything? I don't know if you wanted to.
No, I mean, Barbara and I spoke earlier, and I think it's not an easy thing, and I can tell you that I sat in meetings, and I had some similar thoughts as you with the business owners, and I wish there was a win-win on this one, and unfortunately, it's kind of a lose-lose with road construction. And it's really, really hard because I think the residents are important. I think the businesses are important. And there was just probably not any situation that was going to make everyone happy, unfortunately. I think that Chief Seibert has been involved in an amazing way, being very aware of trying to make sure things are safe through police signage, things like that. And I live on a busy road that is busier right now because of the 61 closure, and the cars fly by at all hours, and it's very loud. So I completely empathize with you. And like I said, I wish there was a win-win. One of our strategic goals is a vibrant downtown, and to close 41 unequivocally, I can't say that word apparently right now, would harm the businesses. And the businesses, when we had the conversation, they were presented kind of, here's two things that could happen. Close it, the bridge completely, or keep it open. It ends up, a few months closed, right? I actually mentioned the same things you did. I said, we can have it closed, and it's more accessible to people. So yeah, people can't come north-south, but it feels safer. They're not having to navigate as much around things. But the businesses really felt that the only way they were going to survive this is if there was some sort of way for that bridge to be open at least part-time. So I think that was just a hard decision where, again, no one was going to love it. Not everyone was going to love it. And in an effort to save probably some of the things you love about living downtown, that's what worked out to do. So, but like I said, I live on a street that is literally busier because of this construction, and completely empathize. It scares me that my dog could get out in the road and be hit because there's more cars coming by. It scares me that I could be out. I was shoveling the other day when all that snow fell. So many cars are coming by and my back's to them as I'm shoveling, and that's scary, and so I understand.
But the thing is, as far as advertising in all the papers, flyers, mailers that go out to each and every mailbox,
And I think that's gonna still be required.
Talking, you have
Yeah,
to come up here
sorry,
because the rest of the audience can't hear.
Yeah, and we can't control the Herald to like give that necessarily, but also I think that's still necessary. I think that the businesses still need that regardless. So while it's something that is, and this is not to diminish anything, but more temporary for the residents, it's something that could be permanent for the businesses. If they have to close because of this road closing, that's permanent for them. We have to suffer for several months, and it will be suffering, and I completely feel that.
well, what's more important, really? Because who knows how many people will be hit by cars. The old seniors, they're in walkers, they're walking slow. They can easily get hit and killed. So what's more important, people's lives or the businesses that might have to fold up?
I don't think it's
Businesses'
fair,
lives
I don't think
are-
it's
That's not
fair,
fair.
that's not a
That's
fair
not fair.
comment, because you can't argue that, you're hypothetically arguing that people are gonna die. You know, if there were accidents, could we look at, sure, we certainly could do stuff, nothing's permanent there, right? But I can't, that's not a fair argument back to us to use hypothetical pieces. And I wanted you to finish, because I respect that opinion, but I also want to have an opportunity to
Yeah,
speak
no,
to you.
absolutely. Go
because
ahead, yeah.
I have the other side
I didn't make this
downtown in
decision
my
myself,
ward as
so.
well, right? So I just want to make sure you're done.
Yeah.
But, sorry, I jumped in, because I deal and I don't like when hypotheticals get thrown in arguments, because I can't argue against, because of course, I wouldn't want anyone to be hit and killed. Nobody up here would. But to use that in argument is unfair, truthfully. I echo the same comments as Councilmember Hatfield. It's not an easy decision. I appreciate you coming here. I certainly welcome that. It's not easy getting up in front of people and voicing a concern, especially when you know that it's maybe something we don't want to hear. That makes it probably even harder to hear, but we need that. So I want to thank you for that first. Because there's a lot of people who will sit behind a screen or write in and not actively involved. So I do want to
Well,
thank you for that.
Like I say, I wish that the advertising would be, at least try it. And if that's not going to happen, if you can monitor that area for the first week to 2 weeks really, really well, because that's going to speak volumes. Then you'll know the gravity of what goes on First Street East.
Okay.
And,
Mayor.
you know, I'm going to take this before we get too far and we start in a big debate.
Yep.
We can't go anywhere. I do want to let Councilmember Hatfield finish up, but I just want to say ultimately, safety is number one. I get it, I understand. I'm down in that area, I know what, there's a lot of people out, but there's not a lot of people that aren't really always crossing the street either. They're walking along, and you got that little sitting area over on the east side, so they're going along the roadway there. And obviously, that's going to be closed almost 3 months. So 3 months, that road is closed, totally. Why there's going to be so much construction there at that intersection where they're making all the connections. Then at that point, it'll open up. That's like, we're talking probably July, and I don't have places in front of me. So what we did, you are right, we had 41, we're just gonna close it.
Yeah.
But our businesses are important. Our businesses are very important, and so is safety. And this is a way that we can keep those businesses afloat. We can monitor that and make sure, there's a lot of things that we can do. This is not going to be a racetrack. The first 1 or 2 weeks, I will tell you, it'll be a zoo. I'll flat out tell you that.
Absolutely.
But people will find out it's not faster coming through Chaska than it is going around 101. And then they'll start slowly disappearing. And I agree with Councilmember McGraw. You can't come here and tell us that everyone's going to die there, because that's generally not the case. We hear that quite often in a lot of things. Your garbage trucks were always coming there. Your box trucks for deliveries were always coming there. A lot of those vehicles that you rolled off there, they're always been there. That's not going to change. That's all the same traffic that's there. Now, is there going to be some additional traffic? Without a doubt. But we will and can monitor that and look at that to see
And then-
how that's going to work.
And then, after the first week or two, after you watch and observe what's going on, maybe at that point, you can see the reality and you have to make some changes.
Well, we can change this project as we go. Right now, we have no parking on those roads. We may change that. We may change that so that there's plenty of room, that people aren't they're trying to cross and there's a car blocking vision. So it's all no parking on those two roads. And that, and I'm just going to say, there's probably a pretty good chance that will change down the road as the project goes on and how we monitor and how things are. Because like I said, any truck that's coming across the river, they better be stopping in Chaska or they're going to get ticketed. This is not going to be gravel trucks coming through there. It's going to be automobiles like now, only it's going to be some more. There's no doubt. I won't argue that. So it's something, I'm again, like Councilmember McGraw, I appreciate you coming here and telling us. And I want to understand how, and I'll find that out from staff, how the landing wasn't involved in some of these conversations.
We should have.
We changed this back in December, we changed it last September, because we had to change it before we put the bids out for the project, because if we change how we want it done, it's huge cost difference. So we had to make sure that we were very clear about how it's gonna go out. It's been in the papers, how we were gonna do all of these things, like you talk about flyers and this and that, it's only if people read them are they of any value. We have struggled with what's the best way, and we have done everything. Our staff has been out all over talking to people, and I guess I'm a little, I'm uncertain how the landing was missed, that no one was
Well,
talking about.
and the owners of the landing, we've had temporary managers, turnover. So there's really been nothing steady.
Because I
But if
gotta believe somebody was notified.
Mayor and council members, that it has been the case. We have been trying to reach out with the turnover managers. We haven't been able to get a meeting put together until
So,
last week.
But that's not, we've reached out to that management company. Some of your anger should be posed at the management company, not us. Because I know that our staff has been out and actively talking everywhere. And the Downtown Business Alliance has been involved in this. There's been a lot of people involved that has changed how we're going to do things. So I will just say that because the project is bid this way, we really can't change it. But if it absolutely gets that it's something that needs absolute, whatever it would need, we'll figure out a way to make it work.
Okay, I hope that there's eagle eyes watching in the first couple of weeks.
Yep, and our PD knows that it's gonna be chaotic down there, and they're fully aware of it, and, there's gonna be a lot of monitoring. This is not gonna be an easy year, we're fully aware of that, but it's still important that we have to do what we can do for the businesses as well, and we've been very cognizant about the residents just as well. So, we will monitor that, and thank you for what you brought forward so that we know that.
I'm only one person.
Yep, no,
I'm only
that's
one
fine.
person speaking here, but there are many,
Yep.
many that
I-
feel exactly the same way as
I
me.
get it. Like I said, come November, there's gonna be a lot of relief, I hope, because it's gonna be a long year, and we know it, we know that. But again, like Councilmember McGraw said, I'm very happy that you came forward and told us, otherwise we don't know those things.
Okay.
So, thank you for that, and I don't know, Councilmember Hatfield, if you have anything that you need to add, I'm sorry. but
No, I
needed
think, yeah, I mean, and I just want to really hammer this in. There is absolutely not a thought in my mind, or any of our minds, I'm sure, that the businesses or the residents are more important. It was simply kind of a middle ground thing. And as far as safety, part of the reason some parking taken away, much to the businesses' dismay, was to ensure safety. So there are certainly steps that we're going to keep taking. Those were hard conversations for staff to have, for Bolton Mink to have, to say, some of this parking has to go, which is gonna impact the businesses. So it truly was meant to be as much of a middle ground as we can get, but certainly if there are gonna be safety things, I can promise you that that is a huge deal to us. So if people are getting hit by cars, we absolutely are gonna be able to adapt and make sure to make that safer. So I grew up between Second Street and Beach Street, and I live on Stoughton, so I can tell you as a downtown resident, I absolutely understand how important being able to walk around downtown is and how important it is to be safe down there. I turn on First Street. The good news for us is it's a tight turn, so they're gonna have to slow down to make that turn. But I just want to express that it's not meant to be that there's one more important than the other, that it was finding middle ground to ensure we could keep that vibrant downtown, that it's somewhere we all want to hang out when all of this is done, and that it's not going to be fun for the next several months. But I just want to make sure you're heard in that safety is very important.
Agreed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys are together?
Well, not together.
Oh, but on the same,
Sorry, I just gotta make sure that she gets home safe.
oh, okay, thank you for doing that.
Thank you, guys.
Kevin, is there anybody online for visitor presentation?
Is there anyone who would like to talk in the visitor presentation?
I think he's asking other online.
Nope, I think you're okay to proceed.
Okay, all right. All right, we'll move on to approving previous meeting minutes from 3/20/23. Again, if there are no corrections or additions, I would entertain a motion to approve the previous council minutes.
Motion to approve previous minutes.
Motion by Councilmember Hatfield,
Second?
second by Councilmember McGrath. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion carries. Moves us on to consent items. Again, these are items that need our approval, but not necessarily conversation, but any and all can be discussed if anyone has an issue with anything. With that, is there anyone that has a comment or question on consent? I would just like a little clarification on 7H. I'm not really understanding what we're doing with 7H.
Mayor, I'm asked our city attorney to address that question.
Okay.
Sure.
Thanks.
So as part of the process, that's been the 401 Hickory West Creek Apartments. We've run into a lot of trouble with the land records that exist on this site and some overlap between the torrent certificates and the abstract property, which is really a technical issue with Carver County. If you recall, we engaged in a quiet title process for some of the city land, and then as well as also correcting some of the torrent certificates that relate to this area that was owned by a developer. As part of that process, it was resurveyed then after Plat, and we've been working through some of those issues. So as we move forward to finalizing and recording everything, hopefully here in the next week, and getting this project underway, we need to formalize the idea that the city is conveying on a very temporary basis the land that will in the future make up Outlet A. Again, if you recall, the city structured this so that it wouldn't be a party to the plat, and in order to do that, it needs to convey what we'll call the southeastern portion of this rectangular, or this triangular parcel to the developer for platting purposes, which then comes back to the city as Outlet A.
So who had to do the surveying? Is that us or the developer, or is it split?
The developer has worked on the survey and took care of that.
Okay. All right. Because that's, how does that tie to the action item?
Sure, and I should clarify again that as part of this, we have to, working with Carver County, we have to split the property so that the southeastern 20 feet along this entire segment of land remains separate, because that wasn't part of the final plat that was approved. So everything in that sense is consistent with what the council approved on the final plat back in May of last year. And then everything without a visual, and I'm sorry, you don't have the visual.
See, and that's the problem. It's hard to not have a visual of what we're talking. When we say outlot A's and this, but I know, but it's not. So where is 212, 61? So it's there.
So if you look on page, there's a poor depiction on page 12 of the second amendment to the purchase and exchange agreement. Page 7, I'm sorry, of that agreement.
Yeah.
And it basically shows the current status of the Carver County GIS aerial imaging. And you can see the outline in yellow is what they Carver County has shown for
Is that green for us?
the
Yeah.
city parcel.
Is that in green on ours?
I'll pull it up here in a
So-
second.
So it's,
I'm pulled up on the
Yeah.
action item.
so which piece of this, Jake, are we referencing then? I'm assuming it's the green piece.
I think you're looking at two different things,
Is this?
because you referenced the Second Amendment, right?
What do you mean?
I was just reading this established purple.
Oh, you are looking,
That's for the next
that
item.
is the easement
Oh.
vacation.
That's for the
See, I didn't
next
think we
item.
had anything on this.
No, I didn't see it in the one, so I pulled up the second.
Yeah,
So there is one on
that's the
page
one-
7. If you go to the one that's in this, H, as you referenced Resolution Second Amendment,
Okay, I'm pulling it up.
and then there's page 7, and it's like a Google image,
There you go.
essentially Google map. Yep, there you go.
So this is from the Carver County GIS site. And what it's depicting here is essentially the 3 different areas of land. To the far west is a railroad site that's immediately adjacent to the old 212. The area highlighted in yellow is what's owned by the city currently as what's considered one PID. This is a mixture of Torrance property and abstract property. We've worked with the county to reform the Torrance certificates to correct the legal descriptions that are of record there. And then the area that will become, the majority of that area will be Lot 1, Block 1 on the final plat is just to the left and above the city parcel in yellow and below Hickory Street. And so that's comprised of 3 different parcels of land that in this depiction isn't obvious because the county has joined it into one PID.
That white thing, that's the canal?
Yeah, white and blue.
Yes, that is the canal. And so what we're doing in this action is if you take a look at the farthest lower right
You want to
hand,
just go up there and point? Is that easier?
it might be easier for me. Sure.
Gotta get you involved tonight.
Yeah, happy to. So if you look at the farthest southeast section here, there's 20 feet running along this strip of parcel that will not be included as part of the plat. It was excluded when you approved the final plat, and it's continuing to be excluded now. So we have to split that land so that the rest of it, everything coming to the west, goes to the developer. The developer then will have total site control of the property, and they can plat the land as the only property owner on the plat. Under an agreement that we have with the developer, he's here now, if you have questions for him, but it's largely the city at this point. Under that agreement, Outlot A will be conveyed back to the city. And
So outlot A is that 20-foot strip?
Outlot A, no, the 20-foot strip will be completely excluded. You can forget about that after the last split. The city will still own it as it currently does. It won't be included in the final plat for Hickory Edition. And that's consistent with what the council approved back in May. The Outlot A will actually result in a little bit more land coming to the city in this area right here, and then a little bit more in this area up here. So you're looking at the Carver County GIS image. You're not looking at what the final approved plat is, because we're dealing with the property that is currently assembled. Oh, I'm sorry, Kevin, you're probably not hearing any of that, are you?
That's okay. That'll pick you up on the side.
All right, thank you, Kevin.
Okay.
So this action amends the purchase and exchange agreement to contemplate the conveyance of the city parcel to developer, so they have total site control, and it authorizes the lot split that was implicitly authorized by the approval of the final plat back in May. I mean, these are all things that are consistent with the council's action back in May.
And so, taking a step back, the reason why it doesn't match is because,
Well, the reason, this would not match
Right.
the plat to begin with. First of all, this is what currently exists in the Carver County's property identification system. The final plat is what will exist as a Lot 1, Block 1, and as an Outlot A.
but we're doing it out of necessity because of what the agreement was, or because that there was a discrepancy in the way that things were platted? Was it
No, so
platted
the
incorrectly?
platting, well, previously, this has been unplatted. Previously, this is meets and bounds. And what we've found in everything we've talked to, every person we've talked to, is that there's an awful lot of confusion in the property records. For example, a torrent certificate, a piece of property should only be associated with one torrent certificate. And we found in this area, there are some pieces of property that are associated with 2 torrent certificates, which means that somewhere over the course of history, something got missed, and everyone just kept moving forward as though it didn't get missed. So a big part of the work here in the last couple of months has been identifying what are all the land record problems, and there are really technical issues that go into the issue on the land record side.
So, a way to summarize it is that this is basically clearing up a lot of the historic land record issues in terms of the way that the land was not platted, but the agreements were laid down on top of each other over the course of many years.
Yes, as the way things have been conveyed, and this is also part of the flood control project, so there are a lot of easements that are down here, there are a lot of different conveyances that occurred over time. Replatting the land and identifying that there are issues with torrent certificates also gives us a chance to reform some of the legal descriptions, which is something Carver County was excited to do and was advocating for those reformations. So we've been able to get, one of those was issued, I think today, and the other one may have been issued last Friday. You know, and those are immaterial in terms of who has ownership. It doesn't convey ownership. It's just a matter of identifying in the property record what the ownership chain is. And that's the distinction between torrents, which uses a certificate, and the abstract, which uses, you know, the entire book of history showing conveyances. Gotcha. So going forward, the platting will help clearly identify the land records in this area.
Okay. The building site is actually up in the upper right corner, yes.
The building site is up here, south of Hickory Street, west of the flood control channel, and then along a portion of this railroad right-of-way here. So previously, the council, remember, you performed a lot split to split this railroad parcel. And in doing so, it's really a lot of the same action. Part of this has gone to developer, and to give them site control so they can plat, right? It comes back as a portion of Outlet A, and that's the eastern half of this railroad corridor. Developer is also taking the northeastern 50 feet of that railroad corridor as part of their building envelope. And so that I do understand the confusion here in looking at this map and trying to overlay a plat that will be there.
Maybe I can explain this as a layman, because I've gone through the same questions you've had.
I know who you are.
I'm Dave Party. I'm with Community Asset Development Group, and we're the developer of the property. So there's one set of legal descriptions that are part of the abstract property. If you read those legal descriptions and you go through and plat that out, you would think that the property that's Hickory Investment owns goes all the way back down along the channel, much further than what we thought we owned. You read the legal description that's part of the Torrance property, you'd see that it's totally different. And so there's this area.
Lawrence property.
So there's 2 ways of recording deeds, either by abstract or by torrents. Oh. And both of those are recorded at the county. And when you overlay the legal descriptions, they should be exactly the same. They're not. And so there's this who owns what. I do also know why I was part of the history of why it happened, because this was back during the flood control. There was a parcel of land that the city exchanged with the Guyans who owned this property. In exchange for this piece that the Guyans ended up owning, the city took title to part of what's now the flood channel. It's when that deed got recorded that the legals were just wrong. And so if you look at what's on the county map for what we own, we as Hickory Investment, That's probably right. But one of the legal descriptions shows us owning way to the, towards Athletic Park, and the other shows it kind of in the middle of what we thought we owned. So anyways, what this does, because once it's all in the title of Hickory Investment, and Hickory Investments records the plat, everything then that the city will own, which will be Outlot A, it's actually larger than what the county records, call it that, the county records map shows the city owning. And then Hickory Investment will own what's Lot 1, which is what was the platted lot for the apartment building. So this has been, well, just a classic title problem where documents back in the 90s got recorded wrong. And I guess I would say, I think we should all be glad we're recording a plat, because that then solves the problems. Now there's new torrents documents. We've gone through, had our attorney work with the county recorder and create those, the correct torrents documents. The city's attorneys reviewed those, and I think we finally solved what's been an ongoing title problem.
Well,
Yeah, if I could piggyback on that, I think one of the things we did is kick up a bunch of dust on something that no one had looked at for a while and realized that there's, from a records perspective, there are just a lot of problems and inaccuracies, but it doesn't change the fact that the parties
well, I think for us, what would make, as we move forward, processes like this, if we could show that one and then show what we're trying to make. Because what you're saying, well, we want to do this and we want to do that, makes no sense to me. I mean, and I'm supposed to, and we're supposed to approve this, yet I get all the legal aspects of what parcel is what, and I like the fact that we're straightening out, but looking at this makes it very challenging to say, well, what are we doing? And I just want to make sure we're not doing anything, you know, is the flood channel obviously protected, and how much right of way does the Corps need for that? You know, all that stuff, I don't know, and you know, we're saying we're gonna get rid of some of this, but square this, I mean, so we're gonna cut that whole lower part off? So like where that kind of runs at an angle that way, is it gonna go all the way now to 61? It stops there?
When you
Is
say
that-
when you say that, what is that?
Well, for you over there, so this line, will that go straight up to the, will that, I mean, is this being squared off? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
What I'm trying to demonstrate is that we're making changes to just the city-owned parcel. So in a way, the
That's the yellow
plat-
piece.
Yes, and so the plat doesn't necessarily factor in, except that this is part of the plat process and making sure we can get the plat recorded. So right now, the city owns this parcel as one PID, and we need it to be split into two. So we're authorizing a lot split, so that that right portion, and this is where you're absolutely right, that we should have, I should have included a image of the plat in here as well. So you could see that that 20 feet on the southeastern edge is excluded and will not be becoming part of the plat. But in order to make that happen, we first have to convey it to the city. So city to city via a deed, and then the rest to the west. Everything else in there for the west goes to developer via a deed. And then pursuant to the agreement that we have in place with the developer, that needs to be amended to account for this, and then the vacation of the easement, as I think it's agenda item 8 that comes up. We need
So
to
is there
amend that
land
as-
being sold here then? Are we selling part of this?
It's a sale in the context of a temporary swap. Remember, after the developer records the plat, they immediately convey back to us Outlot A, which is everything in the yellow, plus a little bit more land, except the 20 feet on the southeast side, which the city already owns and will continue to own over the flood channel.
Okay. Well, if all the legals are there, I mean, who am I to argue them, but unless you have what it's gonna look like, it makes no sense to me. I don't know if everybody else understands it, but it's not, looking at that and trying to read legal descriptions, that doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, and I
know.
certainly understand, and I
I
have to
mean,
apologize.
luckily,
for
I
putting
know,
this
I know
together.
where we're talking, the property, I know that area, but other than that, I'd be like totally in, so that's why, I just didn't understand it, and I don't think I got deep enough into the legals to even see this diagram.
Sure. If it helps,
That's why you get paid the big bucks to go to the legal.
Councilmember Hubbard had referenced page 1 on it's the RFA for agenda item number 8.
Page,
And we'll have to zoom in to see the image. Now, this isn't part of the packet materials for the agenda.
well, that's,
item. I'm talking
that's
about-
the action item.
But this is an image of the final plat. Okay, so if you, in your head, can now visualize the two, and again, I'm sorry, I'm asking you to do it mentally and visualize that way. There's a bold line on the southeast corner, sorry, the southeast edge
You'll have to turn that mic
of the
again.
property here. This is the edge of the platted area. Now, if you remember that other image we had that had the yellow line, that yellow line extended all the way to this dot. And that represents the 20 feet that's being excluded, that the city will continue to own, but it's not part of the plat. It was never part of the plat. It was never intended to be part of the plat. But in order to make that happen, we have to split the lot. All of this Outlot A will be deeded back to the city within a week.
And that's all in this agreement?
It is.
Okay. All right. So they'll own all the purple and the yellow? Or no?
No, because this, so remember, this exhibit actually comes from the easement vacation item that's coming up on as Agenda 8, and this is, the shaded area is depicting the easement area. But this purple is representative of the Lot 1, Block 1 area that'll be owned by Hickory as part of the plat, which they own all of that right now.
Okay. I don't know, is everyone else okay? Okay. All right, well, thanks. All right, anything else under consent that anyone has any concerns, or comments, corrections? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve consent.
So
And
moved.
adding all of Jake's comments.
Yep, motion to approve, including Jake's comments.
Second?
All right, so I have a motion by Councilmember Hatfield, second by Councilmember Wong, approving consent. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Post same sign. Thanks, got through that. All right, next we move to action items, and item 8A is public hearing, adopt resolution 2023-25, approving vacation of a drainage control easement, 401 Hickory Street.
Mayor and council members, I'm going to turn this over to Liz Hanson to talk more about this.
Hi, Mayor and council members. I'm logging in via Zoom here to do a presentation for you really quick. Bear with me for a second. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, we've got a easement vacation request this evening for the property known as 401 Hickory Street, also known as the site where the West Creek Apartments are planning to go. This easement vacation, which is specifically a drainage control easement, is being requested by Community Development Group.
So clarify, is community asset the same as Hickory Investments?
I believe so, yes. They are
Okay.
one and the same.
Because I always thought it was community assets, and now I'm hearing Hickory Development, so I was just
Yeah,
trying to.
and sometimes the taxpayer name is different for a site in particular, like this one. It's more relatable to the site that they actually own. So
Okay.
that's why you hear multiple names. The site is highlighted on this aerial exhibit in blue. So the blue outlines the 401 Hickory Street property. There's currently a single-family home and detached structure on it. site, when the proposal for West Creek Apartments came through, was completed in May of 2022. So that included an apartment building for 19 units, specifically for young adults that are coming out of homelessness. Again, those approvals were done in May of 2022, although it kind of spanned back to the year of 2020. As of May of last year, they're basically in a position to get their plat recorded and subsequently a building permit issued. So they are preparing that, and hence why we have this request this evening for an easement vacation. It's specifically for a drainage control easement on the property 401 Hickory Street, referenced as document number T90050. That's the document that provides the legal description of the easement. So basically, this is an existing easement on the property that was put in place for drainage control measures related to the flood control channel just immediately south of the property and the storm sewer that connects to that. When it was established, the area that it consists of is really much larger than what its purpose is for. It encompasses the storm sewer utility, but a lot of area around that as well. So as we look at that easement area and how it relates to the West Creek Apartments site plan, it does conflict with where the building is situated, and hence why the reason why we're coming forward with an easement vacation on that. With the vacation of this easement, it will be replaced with new easements as a part of the Hickory Edition plat. So a little bit of what we were talking about previously. So the easements that will be put in place with the Hickory Edition will meet the needs of what's currently out there from a utility perspective and flood control perspective. So essentially this is a housekeeping item and something that will be cleaned up as a part of the Hickory Edition plat being recorded. So I know you guys have seen this exhibit not too long ago, but I did want to show kind of the areas of what's to be vacated. So the easement or area that's showcased in green on this exhibit is essentially the existing easement that will be vacated as a part of this request. And then wanted to show what is going to be replaced or put in place with the Hickory Edition plat, which is shown in purple. This will be a drainage and utility easement over the property, which would encumber that storm sewer pipe and other utilities running across the property. So effectively, what it's being replaced with is more in line with kind of the layout of the utilities and the purpose of those easements. So in conclusion, we are asking to make a motion this evening to adopt resolution number 2023-25, which is approving the drainage control easement vacation over 401 Hickory Street, and then based on the resolution and stipulations within that resolution. This is a public hearing, so people are allowed to speak towards this item when putting that up. Happy to answer any questions if you have any. Otherwise, I know Dave Picorni is in the audience as well if you have any questions for him. Thank you.
Questions for Liz? I got to leave this in your hands, that it's a housekeeping and it's just something that needs to be done. Again, these things are a little challenging with the maps that we look at, so that's my opinion anyways, but if trust you that everything is good and in place and everything's going to be just fine. So, all right, anyone else? Not, then.
I guess the only thing
Go
that
ahead.
seems strange to me that I just don't think I'm reading it right, so, and that's likely. So it talks about that the existing easement is too big, like that's the language. But when I look at the purple and the green, isn't the purple be bigger than the green now? Aren't we making it bigger? Like, what am I missing here? Like,
See, I'm still a little confused myself.
Probably bigger just by area comparison. But one of the things that the green easement area doesn't totally encompasses, there's another storm sewer pipe on the south side of the property. So the purple would effectively take care of that as
Okay.
well. That didn't have an easement over it before. And usually when we have a plat come through and there's drainage and utility easements on the property, it runs along the entire perimeter of the lot. In some cases, it's a pretty standard 10 or 20 feet. In this case, it's a lot larger just as to where the storm sewer pipe is located on the south side. So hence why it looks a little bit bigger.
Okay. That's the only thing that jumped out to me, because for a while, I thought for sure you had the colors labeled wrong, and that's what was throwing me off. But I believe you've clarified that in my head at this point.
All right, anyone else? What's your thoughts?
This is a public hearing.
Oh, that's right, thank you, thank you. I already forgot about that. All right, our questions are done up here, so with that, we've got, this is a public hearing, so I'm gonna go ahead and open the public hearing at 7:51 and ask if there's anyone that would like to speak regarding this issue tonight. And I have no one here in the chambers. Is there anyone online, Kevin?
If anyone would like to speak for this, you can unmute now. Nope, I think you're good.
Okay, so we will, at 7:52, we'll close the public hearing. And now, what's your guys' thoughts?
I'd like to, well, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2023-25, approving vacation of the drainage easement control on 401 Hickory Street.
I'll second that.
All right, so I have a motion by Councilmember Wong, second by Councilmember Hubbard, adopting resolution 2023-25, approving vacation of a drainage easement lot at 401 Hickory. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion carries. All right, moves us to 8B, appointment of a youth representative for the Park and Rec Commission. Tonight, we had interviews with two youth applicants tonight. They were both very, very good, and it's always a tough decision that one's appointed and one isn't. So we talked about it, and we just felt that Sam Hassan would be the candidate that we would move forward to the Park and Rec Commission as for the youth position there. But just know that Barshini? No, help me, Barshini. Barshini
that's right.
did a tremendous job as well, and strongly encourage, if she's watching, that she continue to apply. We're always, every year, we're always looking for youth candidates, and I told them both, but I'll say it again, that appreciate and that them stepping forward and putting their name and coming in. It's never easy for high school folks to be interviewing in front of a council. So they both did very well. We tried to keep them as relaxed as possible, and they both did a tremendous job. So, but at this point, we have picked Sam Hassan to be that next representative, and I want to thank you to Barshini for doing that. And again, like I say, I hope that she continues, because the youth, where we're putting youth on the commissions is very important. They see things completely different than how we do, and especially in the Park and Recs, that's very important. So it's a big spot to fill, and we greatly appreciate that. But with that, I probably messed this up. I would need a motion and a second to bring that name as the council directive. So,
I'll make a motion to appoint Sam Hassan to the Park and Recreation Youth Representative position.
motion by Councilmember Hatfield,
Second?
second by Councilmember Gra, to again appoint Sam Hassan to the Park and Rec Commission as the youth representative. Discussion. Hearing no further, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, thanks again to those two young ladies for coming in and doing that. All right, next, we are done, and that's it for action. We're on bills. Anyone have a question regarding bills?
Two quick ones.
Okay.
First, on page 12, there's an item for Baycom Inc., and it looks like it says replacement squad tough. I assume that's a tough book replacement. Is it multiple units, or is this just part of a regular replacement cycle, or due to damage, or?
This is part of our 5-year replacement cycle, so we will be replacing all of the tough books that are in all the squads.
Oh, so that's for all of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, and then the second question's on page 25. This is under Minnesota Department of Employment. There's an item that's listed for Formacode LLC loan rep. That's, it's cut off there. And so I've seen a bunch of loan pass-throughs, and this was kind of an odd one that's coming through the Minnesota Department of Employment. I was wondering if you can help explain that one.
Yeah, certainly. So in 2018, we were awarded by DEED, Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, $270,000 in a Minnesota investment fund to help Formacode expand here in Chaska, at their location here on Chaska Boulevard. Paid for machinery, basically one big piece of equipment down there. And in return for that, they need to create 25 living wage jobs and at varying levels. And then they also had to bring a match to the table. So that was kind of what was required. The city is really the intermediary. We end up loaning the funds to Formacode. If they meet the job requirement goals, a portion, so $100,000 of that was forgiven, and they did meet those job creation goals. The remaining $170,000 are being paid back over 6 years at a 1% interest rate. So basically, we collect it and then we send it back on to DEED is how this particular one works. Every MIF award is structured differently, so that's why this one looks maybe a little different.
So in this particular case, this one actually has the added benefit of not just incenting business, but also helping create, 25 living wage jobs, which is really, really positive for the community. Very cool. Okay. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
All right, anything else to bills? Motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Wong,
Second.
second by Councilmember Hubbard. Discussion? I just got one thing, I don't know if you guys all noticed that there was certainly the Golf Bro John showing the bills today. Did you notice how many pages of resale items for a golf course? I mean, half of the bills were golf course
I was like,
resale.
it's golf season.
Yep.
We're getting there.
Yeah, I think that one vendor was like 4 pages. I went, whoa. I forgot, I made a note, I forgot to mention that, but I just thought that was interesting. That's certainly the John Kellen show in the bills today. But, all right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Oh, what? Please call roll, please.
Councilmember Hatfield.
Yes.
Councilmember Hubbard.
Yes.
Councilmember Wong.
Aye.
Councilmember Grau.
Aye.
Mayor Winchell.
Yes. All right, moves us to other business. Councilmember Hatfield.
Yeah, a few events coming up. Food distribution on April 20th at the normal spot on Stoughton. Thought I saw that on social media, somebody wondering about that. So that's coming up. The police department opened up safety camp for registration. So that will be in July, the 5th and 6th. It's a 2-day thing. You can sign up. It's $50, I believe. Do we know if there's any scholarships for that? Maybe something to find out.
Sure, I will check.
'Cause I think that'd be,
It'd be rare if they didn't. I mean, Julie usually finds a
Yeah.
way to.
yeah, but it'd be
Yeah.
good to know if there is anything like that. So that's coming up. What else did I have on there? That's all for events. One thing I wanted to mention, well, a few things. Friday morning, had a wonderful conversation with former Chaska Mayor Tracy Swanson and Councilmember Hubbard, talking just about in the spirit of Women's History Month, and it was really interesting to hear how far Chaska has come. Some work still to do, which is exciting, but it was interesting to hear kind of some similarities in all of our stories, but also just could talk about Chaska history. And the Human Rights Commission made that happen along with Kevin Wright. So thank you to Kevin and the Human Rights Commission. Sarah Carlson, the chair of the Human Rights Commission, was also there, and really just, it was a lovely conversation. Just, I said it in a Facebook post, but I wish I could just spend every Friday morning like that, because it was a lot of fun, and it was really great to talk about. And then also being in the History Center again, it just reminded me how lovely of a space that is, and absolutely get down there. If you need a gift for somebody that loves history or loves Chaska, they have their history books for sale. The next edition will be coming out sometime eventually. They're working on it, so that's exciting. So that was a lovely thing that I was able to participate in and felt very lucky to get to do. So that, and then the other thing I want to touch on, especially with a couple of articles in the Herald lately, just with the downtown construction and everything, some of the efforts by the Downtown Business Alliance and the city, kind of everyone in conjunction working together to support our businesses. So first I want to say, please go shop at the businesses downtown. It's already started, so go shop at Dolce Vita. They're one that's impacted this week. Chasers, all of the businesses off of that area, Cooper's, shop at those places, and certainly going into the summer, all of the businesses. Those are some that are being impacted more immediately right now. Red Bench, some of those. So I also wanted to mention some of the things that are resources for the businesses, just so the community has some awareness around what the businesses are being offered during this time. And then as you guys will have some awareness too, and then if there's business owners listening, this will help them as well. So some things that have been opened up for the business owners are farmers market booth space, so free booth space for any businesses that would like some space as that's happening in Fireman's Park, just another location for their business during that farmers market, which is well attended. Monthly mailer in the Herald, so if they, it'll go over parking and closed routes and things, just general information, but also events, business events and news, so there's that ability to be in that mailer. There's also some signage they can have that will be ordered for them, or sandwich signs and things. That ordinance has also been loosened for them to be able to put their signs further than they normally would be to attract that business in. And then, of course, the ongoing meetings, the next one being Friday the 14th from 7:30 to 9 a.m. right here in the City Hall chambers. So those are just some of the efforts, but I think the most important effort for all of our listeners is just to go shop at those businesses, spend your money local, eat at those restaurants, drink at the coffee shops, have a cookie at Red Bench, they're amazing. All of those things, keep doing it, and do it more if you can. So that, I guess, is my soapbox for this meeting. But those are just kind of an update on business things, downtown businesses for right now. And I'll try to keep doing those throughout construction at our meetings, give updates as I can, share some of what's happening with the businesses downtown. So that's it.
Great message, thank you for, that's exactly the case, you know. Talked about it, if you got a choice to go somewhere, I hope your choice is down here first, and make that just that little bit of an extra effort to support our businesses, so thank you for that. Councilmember Hubbard.
Wow. How do I follow that?
I don't know.
I guess, I'll echo the comments of Councilmember Hubbard in regard, or me, Hatfield. Oh my God, I did it.
Now you know what it's like to be me.
I'm getting that age, huh? No, I'd echo the thoughts of Councilmember Hatfield in regards to this last Friday. Was such a wonderful conversation with former Mayor Tracy Swanson and, Human Rights Commission.
Tracy, I was going to say one with Councilmember Hatfield's song, but Tracy's awesome.
Yeah, she is. It was so fun to hear the historical account of what Chaska was like during her time serving for the city, and just like Councilmember Hatfield had mentioned, things were different but things were also very similar too. There's a lot of
I think she was
similarities.
our first female mayor, correct?
I think
I,
only,
Yeah.
still only,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, it sounds like she had a long, run with, the
Commission.
Carver County,
She went to
Commission.
commission,
Yeah.
commissioner.
So I don't know if historically if was the first female in that regard, but it
But I don't
sounded
know that.
like maybe that was the case as well. So just a real trailblazer, I guess you could term it. But she's just very genuine and warm and just full of knowledge. And it was just such a great conversation just about Chaska and prospectively, you know, being in this position and you know, reflecting on, you know, Councilmember Hatfield's perspective of sitting, you know, to the right of me, but like serving at the same time, and, you know, and then our Human Rights Commission Chair, Sarah, and then obviously Kevin was there and privy to the conversation. So, no, it was just wonderful, and I agree. I would love to spend every Friday morning just having that kind of casual conversation. So I said they gotta get like
Shoot
a
for
little
once a month.
little faux fireplace in there and put some little armchairs in there, and you know, yeah, it'd be great. So
Shoot for once a month.
council chats. But yeah, no, that was great. And then I had the pleasure, because I sounded like I was the only one in the vicinity of the city, to be able to go down to St. Paul and go to bat. No, you know, we had the opportunity to have that hearing it's the Capital Investment Committee in regards to City Square West. And I think it went really well. I mean, I don't have any prior time to base it on, but I mean, it sounds like based on, you know, other people's, you know, opinions, it sounds like it went really well. And it was just really, I just really appreciate being a part of that process. So hopefully they keep the ball rolling.
Well, thank you for doing that, too. I got notified at about 10:30 on Thursday night, said, hey, we got a hearing on Monday. And I had already, I mean, I planned this trip long ago, so I was gone. And then I found out that almost everybody was gone.
Yeah.
And, but thank you for doing that. It's important. I know it sounds like Chairman Lee is really in support of this project, which will really help. So we needed to go down there and do that. It's very important. And you're gonna, you know, if we end up getting that funding, you're gonna feel good about it. I mean, I talk a lot about that Highway 212 and 44 interchange, because I had the ability that I had to go down and testify at least a half a dozen times on that one. And I felt that you have a big part of that, even more than sitting here. You were the one that went down there and did that. So you will feel good.
I was
And-
a little nervous
Oh,
because
yeah.
at first, you know, it was like, you have 2.5 minutes to read
Yeah.
this, and
You gotta,
I was reading, practicing as I was folding my clothes over the weekend and, you know, trying to like make sure I was timing myself and trying to make sure I didn't read too fast, but and then when we got there, it was like a sigh of relief because they said, you know, everyone has 5 minutes. But then we were towards the end, and so they were really just kind of like, go, you know? And so it was like, the pressure was sort of back on. It was like, you better get out of your chair and move up there, or else you think he was gonna, you know, next. But no, it was really well. It was really well received, and I'm thankful to have been a part of that, so. And that's everything for me today.
all right, awesome, thank you.
Well, thank you, Councilmember Hubbard, for doing that. It's, it's so important to us as a community that we all, you know, that you supported this and that you're representing us as a community. So thank you for you know, representing all of us here. So I'll start off with March 23rd, from 4 to 7, there was the highway, this is talking about a different Highway 41 project. It was the Highway 41 and Angler project, and this is talking a lot about Angler. And so that meeting was really well attended. There's a lot of people there. And, you know, what's encouraging to me about that is that you know, it's that there was so much engagement from the public, and I think it's really important that the more that people are engaged, the more that they're part of the conversation, that they're bringing their ideas, concerns to the table, the better it is for everyone. So certainly encourage, you know, us and Carver County to continue doing that, and certainly encourage people to, if they have any questions, concerns, or anything that they want to share, to come to those meetings, those, you know, public hearings and meetings, and those open houses to share things. So I think that's the best way to kind of get to the root of how we come to the best solutions and the best, how do we get to the finish line sort of plans, right? So along with that, let's see, Christmas in May is coming up on May 6th. And I also got an update from Chaska High School and some cool things that I just wanted to share here. So under activities, DECA qualified 5 students for the international conference. The Chaska speech coach was named the NSDA Southern Minnesota Coach of the Year. And the arts had 10 art students that had their work represent at the Metro West Conference and Visual Arts Festival, and 2 of them earned achievement awards and 1 received an excellence award. In athletics, a freshman wrestler placed 5th at the state tournament, and he's the youngest state wrestler who placed in school history, which is pretty cool. Girls basketball ended their season as a runner-up, and the coach was also named head coach of the year for section. Girls player, I think it was Kennedy Sanders, was named the 2022-2023 Star Trib All-Metro First Team, and to the Class 4A All-State team. Stormhawks swim and dive finished 8th place at the state tournament, and the Chaska swimmer finished 12th in the 200 IM and was part of the 4th place 200 relay team. So a lot of great things happening at the high school, and just wanted to give recognition to all the students and the staff who support them, because it's, you know, there's so much going on in this community. We focus a lot on things like, you know, Highway 41 and things like that, but I think it's great to call out these things are happening in our schools and the young people, because, you know, they're, you know, their next generation, and, you know, just to call out all the great achievements that they're making too. And finally, you know, good luck to Will Podorowski, who's, you know, representing Chaska at the U21 Junior Nationals in Boston. So I think the Mayor mentioned that earlier, but certainly a personal shout out to Will. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's all I got.
All right, thank you, sir. Yes.
For those that know me, this will be a shock, because I have nothing else to say tonight.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you for that.
I'm good.
Good report, best report. Elise.
Real quickly, first, thank you, Councilmember Hubbard, for your testimony last week. I think even this week, talking with our lobbyists again, feel very, very happy with what went on last week. So right now, we're just in a holding pattern, and we'll, as soon as we know more, we'll let you know. And then just to bring to your attention, our next meeting is April 17th. We will have a work session beginning at 5:45 with the Park Board and the Heritage Preservation Commission to discuss City Square Park and some of the improvements or rehab being done there. So that's it.
All right, thank you. Jake, anything?
Nothing for you, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry to put you on the spot. That was just a little, last when I came in, I just didn't understand it, so.
No, nothing wrong with
We got
that.
it figured out.
And you're right to call me
I
out.
trust you guys.
Call me out for not putting enough exhibits in the report.
Well, I need visuals. I'm sorry, but that's what helps me is, here's what it is, here's what it's gonna be. And that's, so, I'm a picture guy, I'm old. So, but thanks for that. So, all right, I just have a couple things that I'd like to bring forward that, and I hope that Chief Ryan will come and maybe talk about this, but our PD got all new AEDs for their units, which I saw it, but we really haven't been touting that, and I think that that is really something that, well, my understanding, and like I said, I think he's gonna come to a council meeting, but I still think it's important to kind of talk about a little bit, is it was a grant from the University of Minnesota. Somehow they had this about getting it, and I know I talked to the chief from Eden Prairie, and their police department got them too, but it's still, I mean, those things are about $2,000 a piece, so that's a lot of savings, but whoever took the time. Grants are not fun to write, but they sure are great when you get it. And to get that grant is, I think, is pretty awesome. another thing that I found out is Eden Prairie Fire has given a Chaska Fire a Lucas device. A Lucas device is a device they can put on and does manual compressions on someone. And we get called a lot of times, or if we have a heart patient and they take them downtown, we lose that Lucas. So now, one of our firefighters that, I don't know, somehow, I think he was trying to get it for somewhere else, but then ended up getting another one for, I think Carver got one, and we've got them, and they're basically on loan from Eden Prairie. So if something would have happened to theirs, and they were just, the chief felt they're sitting on the shelf, we may as well have them available for use. So they've given us and Carver one on loan. But I think that, one, the firefighter that took the initiative was Corey Tripetowski. I think that is awesome, and it's about partnerships and relationships with our neighboring departments, and I think that is a really neat, and I think it needed to be called out here, because I mentioned to Matt, he didn't even know about the Lucas. So it was one of those things that I caught through a fire thing that I saw it, and I went, oh, that's pretty cool. So I just want to say thanks to whoever wrote the grant. I don't know who did that in the PD, and for Eden Prairie, one for the willingness to share those. They're $17,000 some dollars the last time I heard them. They maybe have come down, but I know the last time the chief was trying to get money when he first got our first one. I think it was like $17,000 or $18,000 for it. And luckily, I think the Lions or somebody gave us a pretty substantial donation for that, so that really helped out. But again, I think that was important. Sunday, obviously, is Easter. Saturday, we're still going to have the Easter egg hunt. I don't know if it's going to get, I don't know if we're going to have enough melting or how that's going to happen, but the
They've
Easter
done it
egg.
in the snow before. I have pictures.
Like 60, it's gonna warm up.
Yeah, it's supposed to be warm, so I
More
don't
of
know.
a hunt.
But,
The hunt is harder, is what happens.
oh, okay.
Yeah, dig.
So, but anyways, it's 10 o'clock, City Square Park. Don't come at 10:02 because they're already walking away done. So you better be on time or you're going to miss the show. So that, again, it's not a city event. It's the Chaska Legion Auxiliary that runs that. They make the calls on that. Unless that it's so muddy that it's going to destroy the park, but I don't think this year it really matters. So I assume then it's on. Lastly, I'm just going to say Happy Easter to everyone. However you celebrate, whatever it is, enjoy, have a great day. The weather's supposed to, it looks pretty good. So we'll get by, what is it, today and tomorrow is the bad days again here?
I think we're missing it. I think that's
And
gonna
get through, we're going to get maybe some rain, maybe possibly freezing rain, and get through that. And then I think it looks pretty good for, I just clipped the news a little bit, and I saw the next days after that all look good, so. But anyways, happy Easter, enjoy the day. Lisa already talked about it, our next meeting's the 17th. We're back on track for first and third Mondays, and we'll see you on the 17th. Have a great night. Last call, anybody? Sorry. Okay, so have a great night, and we'll see you on the 17th. Thanks for joining us.
Don't you need to adjourn?
Why?
Just leave it open.
You always gotta come up with something to make me look worse.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Grau, second by Councilman Wong to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those. We are adjourned. Have a good night
I was
anyways.
ready to just close it.
Recording stopped.